Drawn and Redrawn, The Making of India's Internal Boundaries.
Hi, and welcome back to India's State Stories, a project that explores the evolution of India's political and administrative boundaries. This project is supported by the Center for Legislative Education and Research, Flame University, Pune.
In the last few episodes, we looked at the integration of princely states that were merged into their respective provinces and formed the Part A states. Now, we turn towards Part B states, that is, the states grouped together to form a viable union and were governed by a Raj Pramukh, a new constitutional position held by a former ruler of a state and appointed by the President of India. Along with these unions, some major states like Hyderabad, Jammu and Kashmir and Mysore state were also categorized into Part B states and governed in the similar manner by the Raj Pramukh. Let's dive into the fascinating history of formations of these unions and explore their individual stories in the following 9 episodes. Listen to the first 3 episodes of Season 2 to understand a deeper context. These episodes give an overview of the entire process of integration, along with an introduction to the legal instruments and some key personalities which made it possible. More details are in the show notes below, and let's dive in.
Imagine a moment in history when an entire nation was being stitched together, and every single piece, no matter how small it seemed, sparked intense debate.
Exactly.
Today, we're plunging into a story that might initially seem like, well, a footnote, but it's actually a captivating case study of identity, diplomacy, and the messy, often surprising business of nation building.
That's right. We're going to really unpack the journey of Sirohi state. It was one princely state whose destiny became a really hotly contested issue during India's reorganization. It's a story that reveals these intricate layers, of cultural ties, political maneuvering, and local feeling that ultimately shaped the map of modern India.
Right. So our mission today is to understand why Sirohi became the only princely state to be divided under these specific new arrangements. We'll explore the tug-of-war between two pretty powerful regional identities and uncover the surprising compromises that defined its fate in the end. We've got a detailed article 27.pdf, that we've been digging into, and even an old map and a political cartoon to help guide us. Okay, let's unpack this.
Sounds good.
So to set the stage, let's look at Sirohi's background first. Our sources tell us its ruling family claimed descent from Prithviraj Chauhan, established its capital way back in 1425. How significant was this long history, this deep-seated Rajput lineage?
Well, that's a great starting point, because Sirohi wasn't just any minor state. Its ancient roots, especially that claim of descent, gave it a serious historical pedigree. It really cemented its Rajput identity. So Sirohi saw itself as, an integral part of the Rajputana agency. This was a significant bloc of 19 independent states, a chiefship and a state, a solid unit within British India. This really established its cultural and historical belonging in the wider Rajputana region. Then, in 1823, it entered into what's called a subsidiary alliance with the British.
Right, that was pretty common.
Very common, yes. These states basically traded some autonomy, foreign policy, defense for British protection, and administrative stability under the Raj. Kept them technically independent, but, under British oversight.
And here's a detail that maybe at first glance seems minor, but actually becomes a real linchpin in our story. 1845, Sirohi cedes lands on Mount Abu to the British for a sanatorium. Why Mount Abu specifically? Why was that such a critical piece?
That's a great question, because it really wasn't just any old patch of land. Mount Abu was, and still is, a very special place. These 6 square miles or so were permanently leased to the British government in October 1917. That solidified British control over an area with immense value: cultural, religious, strategic.
Strategic how?
Climate. Exactly. Its cool climate made it an ideal hill station, not just for the British, but also for Rajput rulers seeking respite. And crucially, it was home to the famous Jain temples of Dilawara, huge pilgrimage sites.
Okay.
And by 1940, we also see the rise of Praja Mandals in Sirohi. These were basically popular political organizations, local people's movements pushing for change, for more representation.
So things were already shifting internally.
Definitely. It tells us the dynamics inside Sirohi were already evolving, hinting at this shifting political landscape and a growing desire for self-determination well before India's full independence.
Right. So fast forward, India moves towards independence. The future of these hundreds of princely states becomes this monumental, incredibly complex task. And here's where it gets really interesting. Late November 1947, a proposal goes to Sardar Patel, a key figure in integration, to transfer some states from the Rajputana Agency, including Sirohi, over to the Western India and Gujarat States Agency. Why this move? Right at this moment of massive change.
Well, the main reason given was a presumed Gujarati-speaking majority within Sirohi's population. Plus, some economic ties were mentioned. It seems like it was largely an administrative decision made in that whirlwind of post-partition reorganization.
And it happened fast.
Very swiftly, yes. Took effect February 1st, 1948. Pushed Sirohi out of its long-standing Rajputana connection and into this new grouping. But here's the fascinating part. Just over a month later, March 19, 1948, when other Gujarat states in this new agency agreed to merge with Bombay province, Sirohi is explicitly left out, excluded from these critical talks.
Left out. Why? Having just been moved.
Exactly. Makes you wonder, right?
Well, our sources indicate it was because Sirohi's ruler was a minor at the time, and there was an ongoing dispute about the succession within the royal family.
Well, okay.
So while other states are busy merging, consolidating their futures, Sirohi finds itself in this precarious, isolated spot. Caught between administrative shifts and internal dynastic issues, it couldn't just follow its new neighbors into Bombay.
You've hit on a critical point there. With all the other states in his new agency merging with Bombay, Sirohi couldn't stay isolated forever. It was an anomaly. And this is where Gokulbhai Putt comes in. He was an advisor to the Dowager Maharani, but also, importantly, president of the Rajasthan Provincial Congress Committee.
So ties to both Sirohi and the emerging Rajasthan identity.
Precisely. He proposed a pragmatic solution. Let Sirohi be taken over as a centrally administered area, just temporarily.
Buying time, essentially.
Exactly. The Maharani regent signed off on this on November 8, 1948. Then, January 5th, 1949, the state's administration was officially handed over to the government of Bombay, but to manage on behalf of the government of India. So this temporary fix bought time, yes, but the big question, Sirohi's ultimate fate, was still wide open. And that set the stage for the real conflict.
Right. So Sirohi's in limbo, being managed, but its final home is still up in the air. And this, naturally, leads to a pretty significant dispute, a real battle of wills, of identities. What were the core arguments from each side as this debate heated up?
Yeah, this is where those cultural and historical narratives just collide head-on. Gujarati advocates argued passionately for the entire state to merge with Bombay. Their claims were based on Mount Abu's deep, traditional, and historical ties to Gujarati culture, including those incredibly important Dilawara Jain temples. Many Jains are from Gujarat, you see.
Okay, the temples were key.
Very key. They also pointed to the ruling family's connections to Kathiawar and Kutch, suggesting a deeper cultural link. And they saw the rest of Sirohi as economically and linguistically tied to Gujarat. Mount Abu was seen as a natural part of their cultural landscape.
But Rajasthan leaders pushed back. Hard, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely hard. They saw this as encroachment on what they considered their historical territory and identity. They countered that Sirohi had been part of Rajputana for centuries, deeply woven into its fabric, not just some temporary administrative group.
And the language claim.
Crucially, they asserted the majority of Sirohi's population was not Gujarati-speaking. They challenged the very basis for that initial transfer. Plus, they emphasized that many Rajput rulers had summer homes in Mount Abu, underscoring its historical importance to Rajput culture too. This sounds like it caused quite a stir, much more than just an administrative debate.
It sounds like it went national.
It absolutely did. And that public agitation really showed how deeply these regional and linguistic identities mattered to people. It was far more than just bureaucratic lines on a map. The controversy led to agitation in the press, even in Parliament. It showed this wasn't just a local squabble, it had national significance.
And VP Menon got involved, the main integration strategist.
Yes, VP Menon studied the situation on the ground, and after his assessment, he concluded that merging the entire state with Bombay just wouldn't be appropriate. He acknowledged the validity of Rajasthan's claims, the complex realities there.
So he saw the Rajasthan perspective held weight.
It seems so, and if you look at the bigger picture, it really underscores the government's struggle. Trying to balance these competing regional claims, these linguistic identities, in this very delicate process of state formation. Trying to find solutions that were administratively sound, but also politically acceptable.
So what happens now? VP Menon says no to a full merger with Bombay, effectively challenging the basis of the initial transfer. Our sources tell us Sardar Patel, another giant of integration, then suggested a division. Dividing the state was seen as the most viable way forward.
It was.
And this was accepted by Gokul Bhatt and other Sirohi leaders, though maybe reluctantly given their Rajasthan ties. Must have been tough.
It was definitely a careful, deliberate compromise, a real testament to how complex the situation was, the need to accommodate these strong, competing identities. The final decision was this. The Abu Road and Tilawar tehsils, those are like local administrative subdivisions, districts almost, they would merge with Bombay. That largely satisfied the Gujarati claim to the culturally significant Mount Abu area.
Okay, so Gujarat got Mount Abu.
Essentially, yes, the key parts. Meanwhile, the rest of the state would integrate with Rajasthan, affirming its long-standing Rajputana identity. This was all formalized by an order under Section 290A of the Government of India Act, 1935, giving it that legal backing.
And the unique part.
What's truly fascinating here, and what makes Sirohi's story stand out, is that it was the only princely state divided up like this, under these new arrangements. It's exceptional. Really highlights the unique pressures and negotiations involved.
That is remarkable. It really shows how sometimes these exceptional solutions come out of the most complex, seemingly minor disputes, pushing leaders to unprecedented compromises just to balance these deeply held regional claims.
Precisely.
And the sources even mention a political cartoon by Shankar, a famous cartoonist, showing V.P. Menon handing Sirohi over to Bombay. Really illustrates the moment.
Yes, it captures that decision visually.
But the story doesn't quite end there, does it? Years later, India is refining its internal boundaries again. The States Reorganization Commission, the SRC, revisits this.
That's right. The SRC was set up specifically to redraw state borders, mainly along linguistic lines.
And what did they say about Abu?
They actually reaffirmed Rajasthan's claim to the Abu Road Taluk, another administrative subdivision, and recommended its transfer back to Rajasthan.
Back to Rajasthan. Interesting.
Yes, it suggests a reevaluation, perhaps confirming the linguistic and cultural arguments Rajasthan had made earlier. It wasn't just about the initial deal. It was about long-term coherence. So the modern state of Rajasthan finally took its shape on November 1st, 1956. It merged united Rajasthan and Ajmer, and crucially, this formation included the Abu Road Taluka and another area called Sunel Tapa.
Bringing the whole saga to a close.
Exactly. It brought that long, often quite contentious dispute over Sirohi's identity and boundaries to a definitive end, shaping the map of modern India we see today.
Wow. Sirohi's journey, then, from its ancient Rajput roots to playing this pivotal role in modern India's formation, it's just a real testament to the complexities of identity, history, political compromise. It shows how what seemed like a small local dispute, really, about a relatively minor state, could grab national attention and end up shaping boundaries for generations. It wasn't just lines on a map. It was about people, culture, belonging.
Absolutely. The story of Sirohi and its unique division highlights that sometimes, even in the grand sweep of nation building, the most, let's say, equitable solution isn't a clean sweep, not a simple absorption. Sometimes it has to be a careful, nuanced, and often difficult division. It shows the painstaking effort needed to balance history, language, culture, to forge a new nation. Proves even minor disputes can trigger major, unique policy outcomes.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, what other historical divisions or maybe political boundaries around the world might have benefited from such a precise, even if painful, approach like this? You know, what other places could tell a similar story of contested lands and identities where maybe a unique compromise was the only real path forward rather than a winner-takes-all result? Something to ponder as you continue your own deep dives into history.